All right, so on today's episode of 6th grade math, we are going to be actually solving one-step equations. So this is a topic you will be using for the rest of your math career. So this is actually your kind of first step into algebra. So the goal of solving an equation is to, get the variable, and we have discussed that variable means just the letter. We're getting the letter alone. So we are solving for the letter. So we have been told the letter before, but this time we want to find it out ourselves. So the first thing we're going to look at is right here, we have kind of like a weight, a balance beam. So we have this this equation, x minus 2 equals 3. So if that's equal, that means that x minus 2 equals 3. So both sides have to be equivalent, which right now they are. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put an x on this side in a box. Okay, that represents my x, and it's just 1 because it's an invisible 1, okay? And then I am going to make 2 boxes that have a -1 in them. And that comes from this right here. Because if I break that down, that's 2 negatives. So -1 and a -1. Okay, so on this side of the equal sign, we're going to have 3 boxes. And those are going to have a +1 because the 3 is positive. Okay, so right now, this is balanced. Okay, it has balance because each side equals the other. They're equivalent. So I need to figure out, what do I need to do to get the x by itself? How do I get rid of these negatives? So to cancel out a negative, kind of like think of 0 pairs, what would get rid of a -1? A +1. So if I add a +1 here and a +1 here, okay, technically those cancel each other out, but they're still here. So now if we were thinking about this, my balance would be going kind of down. So if I add 2 on this side, I need to add the same on this side. That way they're back in balance. So technically, those cancel. They're still there, but they cancel. So all I have left now is x. And then nothing cancels over here because they're all positive. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So x equals 5. And let's actually see if that is correct. So if I plug in 5 minus 2, because x is 5, 5 minus 2 is indeed 3. So that works. Okay? So let's actually talk about the math part of this. So to solve for unknown variables, we are going to use inverse operations. Okay, inverse operations. And we've kind of talked about inverse before. Inverse operations are opposite. They're the opposite. So they undo each other. So what is the opposite of adding? It is subtracting. So to undo adding, you can subtract. Okay, and subtraction is just going to be a minus sign. What is the opposite of subtracting? How do you undo subtracting? You can add it back, so adding. And adding is always just going to be a plus sign. What is the opposite of multiplying? Okay, that is dividing. And we have different ways that we can write dividing. Okay, we can write it with the division symbol. We can write it with a slash, or we could even write it like cowboy and horse, like a fraction. All of those mean to divide. Okay, and then what is the opposite of dividing? Multiplying. And then the different ways we can see multiplying are with the dot and parentheses. I'm not even going to put the x because we don't need to worry about that. All right, so let's actually solve some problems without a picture this time. So we have x plus 15 equals 6. So some of you might be able to say okay, what is x already? But if not, we're gonna solve. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to separate down the equal sign. So that's kind of like the balance. That's our separation. So we're gonna go ahead and separate that. What do I want to get by itself? I want to solve for x. So to get x by itself, I need to get rid of this positive 15, the plus 15. So I'm going to circle it, and I know that I need to move it over there. Because last time, we had to get rid of that right there and move it over there, okay? So to do that, we do the opposite of what we are moving. So if I am moving a positive 15, what is the opposite? Minus 15 or negative 15. So I'm going to write that out here to the side. So again, the opposite of adding 15 is subtracting 15. So also think about this. If I have a positive 15 and a negative 15, those are essentially going to cancel each other out. So all I have left is x equals, and then we have to ask ourselves, 6 minus 15, can I do that? No, so my answer is going to be negative, and then 15 minus 6 is 9. You could also put them in the table. If you do that, you better circle. Different sign subtract, and my negative has more power. So x is negative 9. That is my final answer. All right, next one. So this time my letter's on the other side. That is okay, but I need to get c by itself. So let's separate. And what do I need to get away from the c? Negative 13.5 minus 13.5. Same thing. So what's the opposite so I can move it over here? What's the opposite of a negative or a minus? An adding or a plus. So to get rid of it, we need to do plus 13.5, so they cancel. So over here, we need to do 13.5 plus. So C is left. Now, this is super important. On this one up here, I kept the 6 first. So on this one, I still need to keep the 21 first, so I need to give myself room to rewrite the whole thing. And then I just solve. When we add decimals, we are going to have to line them up. So I have 21.0 plus 13.5. Okay, I get 5, bring it down, 34.5. So I need to rewrite 34.5 equals C. And that is my final answer. All right, next one. I have my K on the other side again, which is okay, so I'm going to separate. Now, I need to think about what is happening here. I have a number next to a letter. We know that that is multiplication, so I'm going to rewrite this. 3 times K. All right, so I need to get the K by itself. So I need to circle what I am moving. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 3? It would be dividing by 3. So to move that multiplying by 3 over, I need to divide by 3. So my K will be left. And again, I need this to be first, so I'm going to give it some space, and we are dividing by 3. You could also write it like a fraction to show division, because it doesn't matter which way. The cowboy is still negative 19.5 and the horse is still 3, okay? So if we did that division, we have a negative, and our strategy would be integer man. So I have a negative and a positive. So my answer would be negative, and then I already did that division for you. It is 6.5. So K equals negative 6.5. Obviously, if you can't do that division in your head, which we can't, you would do long division, but I just did it to save time. All right, last one. Go ahead and bring down that equal sign. Okay, I have an F, And a fraction, we know a fraction means to divide, okay? It kind of even looks like a division sign. So what am I moving? A 20, and I need to move it over. Okay, I do the opposite of dividing. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So I have f, and remember this goes first, so -6, and the opposite again is multiplying by 20. And then I'm multiplying with a negative again, so I gotta have an integer man. I have a negative and a positive, so f equals negative, and then 6 times 20 is 120. All right, so make sure you circle what you are moving, and to move it, you have to do the opposite so you can undo.